It's recording. It's recording. It's happening. Here we are. This is Rocco Jerome. This is the first episode of On the Record with Rocco Jerome, and I'm on the record here with Rich Handley.
Hello.
Hey there. What's going on, Hansy?
Oh, just working a lot, which is a good thing, and it's always better than working a little. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, that's a good attitude to have. You're
like when, I don't like the fact that I turned 50 this year, but I always say that getting old is a whole lot better than not getting old.
Yeah.
So it's kind of how I tend to look at a lot of things, you know?
Yeah.
My day job, there are days when I'm overworked, but that's a whole lot better than being underworked. So that's kind of the stance I try to have in life. And I'm not always successful at it, but it's kind of how I try to look at things.
Well, I think that's a healthy attitude. Are you chagrined about being 50, or do you feel like you've earned it?
You know, there are days when I really feel 50, and and I say, well, it's a shame. I would love to feel 30 again.
Uh-huh.
There are other days when I say, I earned it. I did all of the yard work from 13 to 50, and after 37 years of yard work, it's okay that I'm going to hire someone to do the mowing now.
Hey, man, you're at the...
Yeah, I earned it.
You're at the station of life where you can afford... I assume that you can afford to get somebody to do it, or you can make some kid do it.
Already started,
yeah.
I decided after 37 years, it was always a good reason to go outside. It was always a good reason to get exercise. But the truth is, it's kind of nice to suddenly hear mowers going on outside and know that when I look outside an hour later, it's going to look better than when I used to do it. So.
I think that sounds like a sort of a wonderful position to find yourself in, to be honest.
I never wanted to be in that position, though. I've always been of the mind that I really don't want to pay people to do things I can do.
Yeah.
Paying people to do things I can't do, I'm all for it. You will never catch me doing plumbing because I like my house not to be a swimming pool.
Right, yeah.
But I always felt like paying someone to do something I can do, it irked me, you know. but as soon as you hit 50, people are right. Things start falling apart.
Yeah.
and you go, maybe just, curling up on a couch and telling people to get off my damn lawn, maybe it's not so bad an idea.
Yeah. I turned 40 myself this month, and I am...
Happy birthday.
Thank you very much. I'm really excited about it, to be honest. I feel like, when I was 30, I didn't have it together the way that I do now. I feel like I'm able to make things happen in a way now, just through my contacts and through whatever sort of sense that I've managed to acquire over these years. That I'm doing better now.
The first time you go to get off the couch and find yourself going, like your grandfather, and then you go, oh my God.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm with you on this. 30 to me, I really didn't know what the hell I was doing. 40 I was okay with. 50 is the first time where I've gone, shit, I'm in my second quarter. I'm in my second quarter century. Listen to me, I can't do math all of a sudden. I'm in my second half century now.
Yeah.
I'm freaking old. It's the first time I've come to that conclusion, but I'm okay with it because, like I said, the alternative is to not get old.
Exactly.
And since I'm not immortal, that would not be a good thing.
No. Yeah, no. I understand. There's no portrait of Rich Handley anywhere, right?
No, but if my name were Dorian, I'd be very, very relieved. But it's not. So
yeah.
I deal with the aging as best I can.
Yeah, Dorian Handley. So, Rich, you are you're a professional writer, right? That's all that you do. Is that right?
Well, by day I'm an editor, but I do a lot of writing as well.
Yeah.
By day I'm an editor of a technology website called RFID Journal, which deals with radio frequency identification technologies, and all of your listening audience just fell asleep. But on the side, I write and edit science fiction books or contribute to them, essays, articles, whatever. I've done some comics work, some role-playing game work, some short fiction. Basically, whatever anybody asks me to write. If Bazooka came to me and say we're rebooting Bazooka Joe, I'd say sure.
Yeah, you gotta find your inner Bazooka Joe fan.
Well, I've always felt Bazooka Joe just didn't have enough gravitas. want to be the one that gives Bazooka Joe gravitas.
We'll have to look it up and see if anybody has written that yet, or if you can be the one to do that. You know,
I'm going to be the Alan Moore of Bazooka Joe. I'm going to reveal he was never a Bazooka Joe to begin with.
Yeah,
he was a Hubba Bubba Jim, and no one knew this.
Yeah, and he's 50 years old, and he's reflecting on his life, and
he's paying people to do his lawn.
Yeah, he's laying on the couch inside of his house, and he's dreaming of the days when people really respected him, back when he was a Bazooka Joe. What you've hit on there, it's something that I think about a lot as a writer and as a guy who has not yet achieved what you have, but
I think you've done pretty damn well for yourself. I'm always impressed.
Well, thanks, Rich. I appreciate that, and you've been a great help to me too along the way. But when you write for other people, you know, it's you're not singing the song you want to sing. You know what I mean? You're
I do.
Yeah, you're dancing to a beat that might not be your beat, but I think that when you do that, it almost forces you to be. In some ways, I think it makes you a better writer because you're not so attached to the subject. What's your feeling on that?
Well, the one thing a person should never be is his or her own editor.
Right.
People who self-publish without having other people read them, like 5 other people, end up with crap that they've self-published. And the reason for that is tied in with what you just said. Having someone else give you some guidelines, some restrictions, it can be frustrating, but it hones your craft. It helps you recognize where your own flaws are, because we're not always capable of recognizing that we are not nearly as brilliant as we think we are. And you know this. Any writer who's ever written knows this. We'll write something and go, "Damn, I'm brilliant. This is wonderful." And then we go back and read it the next day and just sort of like, face palm and go, oh. And that gets magnified by 12 when you hand it to someone else who isn't as self-impressed with this work as you would be. So while it's frustrating to have someone else call the shots and say, you need to change this, you need to cut this, the truth is, it really helps you define your own skill set, because it helps you take a look at your writing from someone else's viewpoint. And it's humbling. And the one thing I think every writer needs a healthy dose of is humility. I think the best writers are the ones who recognize that there's never a point where you cease to get better, or at least that you should be able to continue to get better.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta keep moving down that road.
I have trouble reading things that I wrote 20, 30 years ago.
Oh, man, I know what you mean.
My professional work was the early 90s, and it was actually my first professional work was for a local Long Island newspaper covering the school boards. That was ridiculous, but
wow.
But it got me a start. It was not the most interesting material, but so there'd never be any reason for me to reread that stuff. Let's just say that. But my first stuff that I actually enjoyed writing, I have trouble, which was for the Star Wars role-playing game from West End Games.
Yeah.
I have trouble rereading it because I was a very green writer. At the time, I thought, I'm really proud of this. This is great. I'm here. And, man, that stuff is raw. And, but, the funny thing is, 10 years later, I would say that about that work and think, finally, I've arrived. I'm a writer now. But that would have been, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So I have trouble reading the stuff from 10 years ago when I thought I'd gotten so much better.
Yeah. I tell you what, when people tell me that they read things, they can go back and read things that they wrote a long time ago, and they think that it still is as great as anything, I honestly, it makes me wonder what they're like as a person, because it's to me, it indicates. Yeah, and it indicates that maybe they're not developing, I mean, It's like, I think that, not to jump around too much here, but I think that, that's one of the most sort of, and it just sort of happened by proxy, kind of by accident. But I think that one of the great things about Doctor Who as a mythology is that that's everybody. You know, you're a different person at different points in your life when you go to look back, and I think that's wonderful. It's funny that they needed to find a new actor, and that was the original reason for that. And then the long term effect is that I think it's sort of a brilliant statement on the development of a human mind. I wanted to go back to West End Games and your work on the Star Wars stuff, which is to many people sort of the beginning of the extended universe. Which for my fans that are not fans but listeners, I'm not going to go so far as to say fans. that seems presumptuous. But to anybody listening to this right now, if you're not familiar with this, in the 80s, during the time that Star Wars sort of vanished, there was a role-playing game series which sort of expanded the world of Star Wars and the background characters, and said, hey, this guy that's in the background in the bar, this is the story that he has, and this is the species of alien that he is and what he might be up to. And then if you want to pretend to be one of the guys in that bar with your buddies sitting at a table over a bowl of chips, maybe a Coke or an adult beverage, you can do that, and here's the books that help you do that. And there
were some really great books, and I say that not self-serving because these are not the ones I wrote. I was at the very, very end of West End Games era. But the Galaxy Guides, for example, that they came out with were wonderful, and they formed the basis of the expanded universe. A lot of the comic and novel writers started referencing the planets and so forth, the species names that all came from that.
Yeah, and
I came in at the end of that. I was writing for West End's Star Wars Adventure Journal, and then it sort of went from there. After West End lost the license due to, and I hope I'm not setting myself up here for people getting angry at me, but due to really serious mismanagement on the part of the company that owned West End Games. In a nutshell, they went out of business because they were mismanaging shoe sales. It's a long story, but and then they didn't pay half the people who'd written for them, me included. And but Wizards, I think was it Wizards? That was the next. Yeah, I think Wizards of the Coast was the next one, right? There were a few of them along the line.
I think so. It's so funny to think of that now because it's Star Wars. You know, like that these weird little companies even had a shot. You know, even had any skin in the game at all. You know.
Well, you know, it's funny. West End Games was a small company that was owned by an Italian shoe importer, and the fact that they're the ones that got the role-playing game is pretty phenomenal when you consider what Star Wars is today.
Right.
I mean, it's massive. These days, not that they weren't competent, because the amazing thing is they did really good work. I mean, they had amazing staff of writers and editors, and the illustrators were wonderful. These books were so much fun to read. And but you're right. Today, a company owned by an Italian shoe importer, where the role-playing game was almost a second thought to the people who actually own the company. I don't know that they would have gotten it today, and it's a shame because they did a good job.
Yeah.
But after Wizards of the Coast, which I think was the next one, but after they came along, I also did some work for that one. So I was in the early days of the expanded universe, and I came in around the same time as Jason Fry and Abel Pena and Pablo Hidalgo and the other people around that. We all knew each other before we were writing for them, and we were kind of like the guys who were known as fixing. You know, we were kind of like the Mario and Luigi of Star Wars. Wherever there were holes, we were coming along and plugging them in our plumber outfits.
Yeah.
You know, so like if Star Wars was pretty cohesive, but you know, you'd have things like the planet Biss would be destroyed, and then a later book would have the planet Biss in it. Well, you had to have somebody explain this. And, you know, one of those weirdos would write something that would explain this.
Right. Somebody's got to apply for the No Prize.
Right. So they said Mario, Luigi, and I said coming.
Yeah. Man, that's so. It really is. I mean, I love that period of time because I feel like during that time, Star Wars belonged to people who really cared about it.
Absolutely. There were some amazingly knowledgeable and passionate people writing Star Wars, and there still are today. I don't mean to imply that they're not, but in that era of the EU, a lot of the people who were contributing to it were fans first,
right?
And which isn't always a good thing, I might add. I should clarify this. I know a lot of fans say it should always be fanboys writing, but the truth is, you really want writers writing who